I was thinking about the concept of evidence. Evidence-based medicine, that's a phrase that we now say a lot. Evidence-based medicine. I suppose because there's, I don't know, has there been a history of people just practicing medicine anecdotally? So I think this works, so I'm going to do this, you know. So evidence-based medicine at the surface makes sense in terms of actually there's probably a right way of doing things. So let's do lots of experiments and studies and whatnot, and we can figure out actually there's probably a right way to treat hypertension or stroke and stuff. And I understand the concept of it, but I was thinking about, you know, could there be any flaws in it? So so I'm not a statistician, and I didn't really like medical statistics in medical school. However, my opinion of it is that, so the highest form, what we've described as the highest form of evidence from a medical point of view, is a double-blind randomized controlled trial. That's my understanding. So what that means is that I have something that may or may not work, whatever work means. So we have the patients who have a problem, and I'm going to split them up, and I'm going to try and make it so that there's two groups who are essentially the same as much as possible. I don't want there to be significant difference between these two groups, because that will affect statistics. And I am going to have the thing that I want to do, the intervention, usually a drug, and placebo, so not the thing. But when I am giving the thing to these groups of patients, I, the doctor or the researcher, I don't know which one I'm giving you, and the patient doesn't know which one I'm giving you. So there's randomization, it's anonymized, and then afterwards I get the data. There is a way of figuring out who's in whose group. There's a way of figuring out which patient got which thing, the drug or the placebo. And then we can do statistics, and then we can figure out, was there a statistically significant difference in what we call a hard endpoint. So if I give this thing to these groups, or to this group, sorry, is there a difference in the number of people who have heart attacks or strokes if I give them this drug as opposed to not giving them this drug? And if there is, then great. There's a statistical, I mean, all we can say from that is that there is a statistically significant difference. Colloquially, what we would say is that the drug works, and then we would you know, figure out what we need to do in terms of marketing and getting it out there. That's like the end stage of a process that starts in a lab with test tubes and then animal models and blah blah blah. But it made me think about, like, so in that process, even if there wasn't any money attached to developing the drug, even if you took out of that, which is $1 billion industry, there's still money attached to the administration of writing to the patient, collecting the patients, anonymizing the patients, giving the drugs, and follow-up. So somebody has to pay for these kinds of studies. And that's, to me, where the flaw is. You know, because to my understanding, there isn't a group of people who are saying, well, we've got lots of money and we're not trying to gain anything by doing these trials. All I want to know is whether this thing works or not. The ultimate goal of a lot of these studies is, I want to prove whether this drug can work so that I can sell it. There's a perverse incentive. And again, I'm not knocking big pharma at all. I'm just saying, this is my understanding of how things work. So the flaw in it is that, let's say there are interventions that don't cost any money. For instance, walking regularly, people say that reduces blood pressure and things like that. Capsaicin in peppers, that thins blood. Is it as good as aspirin? Who knows? Who's going to pay for that study? Because you spend millions of pounds proving that walking improves what was I saying? Yeah, so like who is gonna pay for who's gonna pay for the study that proves categorically from an evidence point of view that walking for half an hour a day causes as significant a drop in blood pressure as drug X? Surely that would put them out of business. So yeah, I don't know. This is something I was thinking about. Is the model with which we collect evidence and talk about the robustness of evidence, is that flawed or skewed at all? Yeah. Let me know what you think. And as always, I'd appreciate the like or the subscribe. I'm getting better at that.